And we're on. Welcome to Timeless Personal Growth and Development. Today we're talking about toxic relationships. Why do we get into them and how to avoid them? Because we've all been through it. I've been through it. Well, we get into them first off. It's usually a behavior pattern that feels normal. It's usually how people get involved in toxic relationships, or if you're wondering why you keep falling into toxic relationships, is because it's a behavior pattern that feels normalized to you. If you grow up in a family that's filled with a lot of drama, a lot of conflict, a lot of abuse, and you grow up and you become an adult and you get into relationships that follow the same behavior pattern, a lot of conflict, drama, and abuse, because it feels normal. Because that's how life has been normalized for you. So you find patterns that are very similar to your childhood. It may not be good, it may not be healthy, but it's what's normal to you. Because that's what you've been brought up with. That's what's normalized to you. Another reason why people fall into toxic relationships is by having a lack of a sense of self and a lack of boundaries, or being able to properly set those boundaries. Because new people come into our lives, whether it's romantic, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a job, and we will tolerate certain toxic behaviors from them, and we won't set firm boundaries because we're afraid of the consequences of what will happen if we set those boundaries. And we justify in our heads, and we make up for whatever reason, our internal dialogue that we tell ourselves, that keeping this toxic person in our lives for whatever reason is still beneficial. You find in your head there's still some sort of reasoning behind keeping that person in your life, even though they cause so much stress and problems and conflict, and they add no real value to your life at all. You still justify some sort of reason. And one reason would be, oh, I've been friends with this person forever, since I was in high school. We've been friends for 20 years. But if that person has always created a lot of problems, a lot of drama, why is that person still there? And we're so afraid to be able to cut people from our own lives, and so worried to say goodbye to them because they've been such an important part of our routine and our habit and our life, and we've been so invested into them that we're afraid to just cut them off like that or keep our distance. And you don't necessarily need to cut them off completely, but learn to be able to set firm boundaries and tell them, no, this behavior, I don't like it. I don't think it's okay. I'm not accepting it. Change it. And just keep your distance. And if they react badly over a very respectful, firm boundary that you're setting, that says a lot about them. So get comfortable and be okay. And I'll move specifically into relationships right now, and sometimes we get so invested into a man or a woman, and sometimes the emotion and the infatuation we have for that person can be so strong, can be so great, that setting a boundary on them is so terrifying because of the possibility of them walking out of our lives. And that's the problem right there, is you have to be willing to say goodbye to people and have them walk away and be okay with that. Because setting boundaries and allowing positive and healthy people into your life needs to be more important than having an unhealthy attachment to someone and keeping that person in your life, even though that person is creating nothing but problems and stress and drama in your life. Same thing with a friendship. We're so afraid to actually cut people loose and set that boundary. And You gotta need to be okay with being labeled an asshole by someone, and that's okay. Oh, if a toxic person, if an immature, toxic, selfish person is going to call you an asshole because you're setting a boundary, okay, fine, I accept that. That's okay, because their opinion is of no value to you. No value. Why? Because they've proven that they have no value or place in your life based on their own behavior. It's not acceptable, and that's not okay. Goodbye. You need to value and care about yourself just a little bit more. Not be selfish, but if you value and you care more about other people and the people in your life, like to a very unhealthy degree, more than you care about yourself, that's a problem, because when problems occur, when bad behavior occurs, you're not going to be willing or feel comfortable to set firm boundaries and to be okay with that. One of the biggest problems I find that we have in toxic relationships is we'll be totally okay accepting bad behavior, accepting behavior that we really don't like from one group of people, but if another group of people show that exact same behavior, then we're totally okay with setting those boundaries. That's not okay. I'll give you an example of that is, let's say a girlfriend. If you're a guy, you have a girlfriend, she's showing like really toxic behavior that's not okay, that's really starting to tick you off. But you're just, you're biting your tongue and not saying anything. It's okay, she's my girlfriend, she's fine, I just gotta pick my battles and just, live to fight another day, and, it'll be okay, it'll be fine, even though internally you're just, you just want to lay down the law, and you just want to let her have it internally. But then, your male friends will go and show that exact same behavior that she showed. But you're perfectly comfortable, perfectly okay setting that firm boundary and letting your guy friends have it. You're perfectly okay with letting them know that you're not accepting that behavior. But with your girlfriend, you're willing to accept it and willing to justify her bad behavior and just let it go. With your guy friends, you're not. Why? Why is the behavior any different? Because the relationship is different. Because the attachment is different. Exactly. Because you're afraid for whatever reason that girl might not like that boundary that you set, and she just might head for the hills and leave. And that terrifies you more, a lot more, than just being able to set that boundary and being okay with that. Not accepting that toxic person into your life. And if you're someone who has a pattern of having a lot of toxic relationships, and toxicity in your life, it seems to be the only kind of relationship that you have, that's not a problem with other people, that's a problem with you. That's a problem with you. Because if all you're bringing is toxicity and creating problems, and people are coming into my life and creating so many problems and drama, that's on you, because you're allowing them to come in. You're allowing them to come in and create problems. You're the common denominator in the situation, right? So if you're allowing all those people to come in and create problems, but you take a step back and complain that they're creating problems, but you're not actually doing anything to tell them off. You're not doing anything to distance yourself. I don't have toxic relationships with anyone in my life anymore. Zero. Nobody. Because I don't allow it. Because I only surround myself with positive people, awesome people, that bring value into my life, and I bring value into their lives. And if someone in my life starts creating problems and toxicity, I distance myself. If they continue to create more problems and toxicity, they're gone. Not acceptable. It doesn't matter who the person is. It doesn't matter. You got to be comfortable creating that distance and being comfortable and knowing yourself and knowing what you want and what you allow and you don't allow, and knowing your principles and what are your laws in your life, what are your narratives, and being comfortable and being the king of your jungle. This is your jungle. You're the king. Be the king. If someone comes in and creating problems that you don't like, perfectly okay, perfectly fine with giving them their pink slip and telling them off goodbye. That's not okay. And if they do end up course correcting their behavior and you allow them back into your life, that's good. And from that, it generates a certain level of respect that you got from them. Especially amongst relationships with women. If you, as a guy, if you're comfortable setting boundaries and telling a girl goodbye if she does something you don't like, creating that distance, that'll generate a lot of respect. And if it doesn't, then they just showed you that they're not worthy enough to be in your life. That they're not. Amongst other relationships, if you know a boss is being very disrespectful to you and talks to you and abusive, and you, oh, I don't need this job, that's fine, that's okay. You just earned a certain level of respect. And that employer knows that he can't treat all his employees that you're the kind of employee that's not going to accept that. And he just lost a great employee. And it's the same thing. Same things with friendships as well. Same thing with friendships. They do something that you don't like and you're not comfortable with. It's okay to tell them off. It's okay. It's okay to set that boundary. And don't let anyone make you feel guilty for setting that boundary, and that's okay, because if you're having a lot of problems in your life and having a lot of toxic people, that's an issue that you gotta check for, and that's an issue that actually you're creating, because you're not leading your life, and you're not setting the example for your life, and you're not setting the boundaries in your life that you need to be setting. Because nobody wants a toxic relationship. We all want peace. We all want quiet. We all want enjoyment into our life. But if we're not getting that, well, I'm going to go back to exactly how I started this video. Our lives are toxic because that's all we've known. And that's a very common pattern. It's a common feeling. Well, what we grew up with and when we started, well, how we started our lives with is that toxic pattern. Because it feels normal. Because we go into a relationship that's actually very healthy and very fun and very enjoyable for us, and there's not a lot of drama. We'll actually manufacture problems and drama because it feels so unnatural. It feels so abnormal having a healthy relationship that we have to create problems. Like, oh, okay, now this feels normal because you grew up and you were raised in a very unnormal environment, but that abnormal environment feels normal to you. You gotta check yourself on that. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. If you like this video, it's of value to you, you can like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one.